Okay, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Nandan Ramcha. I am the Chief Operating Officer of National Quarries. So we're here today to discuss the project at hand, which is the CEC application. We would have gone through exactly what the process already, so I'll just go to our to the company. So our vision is to be the preferred supplier of aggregate products. We aim to be profitable, market-driven, and provide quality aggregates while operating safely and effectively and managing our environment. Now, I want to just point out that we would have put that deliberately, the mention of the environment, into our mission statement. So, company profile. We are a fully state-owned company. We were set up in 1979. Our purpose continues to be to supply aggregate to the construction sector and to the general public at the lowest possible economic price. We have facilitated the development of Trinidad and Tobago since our inception. There is not a project in Trinidad and Tobago that has not been done without National Quarries material. I would like to point out, however, that there have been some misconceptions as to the role of National Quarries, and we are not a regulatory body. We are simply a company set up to provide aggregate, and we are not a regulatory body. So we have our environmental policy in place. We set our standards. We always consider the environmental impacts of our activities, and we try our best to prevent pollution and minimize any negative impacts in the process. At our core is our health and safety policy, which ensures that we keep our operations safe. This commitment extends to the customers and the public. So, well, we would have already gone over the justification for the CEC, so I don't believe it's necessary that we go through this again. So I'm just going to go over a description of the project itself. So this is an overview of the compound. For those of you that may not be familiar with the compound, our main entrance is at almost to the end of the True Road, which extends from the Eastern Main Road to our site. The entire site is approximately 2,000 acres. However, the areas that we are looking at, the Alpha, Bravo, and Charlie areas, come up to approximately 200 hectares. So let's give an overview of the quarrying process. We have site selection, exploration, sample collection, regulatory approvals, mine development, the actual extraction, and then the processing of the minerals. So why do we select a site? So the presence of gravel, or well, people just call it gravel. Our term is pit run, which is basically the raw material that we send into our wash pans. How we determine it is based on existing geological models, maps, publications. We would have done investigations in the past using boreholes and obviously past quarrying history records. The areas that we are actually looking at right now have been quarried before, so this is not virgin land. The exploration process is a fairly intensive area. We would have to clear land to gain access. We would normally work out a grid pattern and then do borehole drilling to determine if there are reserves under the ground. Now, for the purposes of this EIA, we would have put down a total of 10 boreholes on an average depth between 15 to 20 meters, 3 in Alpha, 5 in Bravo, and 2 in Charlie. Sample collection is done to determine the suitability of the material, the percentage of gravel and sand versus silt and fines. This tells us exactly what we can expect to get out of the material. We check for organic content because organic contents can possibly cause problems with concrete. We check for moisture content and all these things because these are characteristics that help determine the how we process the material. We would then analyze the data and conduct feasibility studies. From the studies that we would have done, Alpha and Bravo were determined to be the most feasible sites to develop. So regulatory approvals are submitted to many bodies. We have the Minerals Advisory Committee, the Ministry of Energy and Energy Industries, which is our parent ministry. We have Commissioner of State Lands, the EMA, Town and Country, National Security, OSH, and the Water Resources Agency. Mine development and planning. So the purpose of the mine design plan is to make sure that what we're doing makes sense for us. So we will have consideration for bench height slopes, the equipment that we need to do the work, the phases and the scheduling of how and when we do work. Obviously water management, safety considerations, and of course our environmental considerations as needed. The process of extracting would require stripping, which is the removal of all the overburden to expose the pitron to be extracted. In greenfield exercises, the Forestry Division would come in to assess forest cover. However, in this case, as I said, these were already extracted mined areas, so this may not be necessary at this point. Once the mineral is exposed, then we take them out using heavy equipment and trucks to be stockpiled at the processing area. So what happens at the processing area? The raw material, the pitron, is stockpiled at a loading platform utilizing bulldozers and excavators, and then it's fed into the wash plant by a front-end loader. It passes through basically a series of conveyors and special equipment. The purpose of the equipment is to wash and sort based on sizes, the materials that we get from the pitron. And this will help us to produce the sharp sand, the 3/8, the 3/4, 1.5 inch, and any silt and fines, to separate them out for sale to the general public. This is an example of our wash plant number 4 at the site. There's not much to say about that. You'd really have to see the plant in operation to understand it. Now for storage of product, so as I mentioned before, the pitron is stored at the plant for processing. The products are generally sharp sand, 3/8, 3/4, 1.5 inch, and ballast. Now, concrete manufacturers, the general public, they purchase these materials from us. And these materials are stockpiled around the processing yard, and the quality assurance department, we do quality checks to ensure that all of our materials meet the international standards. These are just some examples of stockpile areas for us. We have some 3/8 sharp sand, 1.5 inch. When I say the sizes, when I say 3/8 stone, that just means roughly the diameter of it is 3/8 in diameter, 3/8 of an inch. So how do we handle and dispose of our waste? So one of the, as I mentioned before, the gravel grade indicates how much sand, stone, and silt there is in the pitron. Now, in the process, we use water, and the silt comes out with the wastewater of the plant. And this silt is now allowed to settle in a series of channels and settle in ponds before the water goes into storage ponds for reuse by the plants. The silt is taken out from these storage areas, and then it's sold to customers as products for them to use. They would use it mostly in backfilling processes for various construction projects all over the island. Now we come to the part that I know a lot of you would be interested in, which is rehabilitation. So once we have decided that we're no longer going to continue any mining activities in an area, the region is given to the environmental department. We will backfill with the overburden that would have been moved out from the area when we were stripping the land. And then we allow this material to settle, compact, and drain. Then we'll do selective planting of tree species. And then we also conduct various exercises to, like mulching and use of organic waste to enrich the soil. Now, one of the things with national quarries is that we're the only quarry that really does proper rehabilitation. we have partnered with several organizations, such as the EIA movement, Sustrust, Vetiver, IWECO, EMA, and we are very proud of the fact that we are the only quarry to ever win a prize from the Energy Chamber of Commerce for our rehabilitation efforts. We are proud to partner with these member bodies because this shows our dedication to our rehabilitation and our thrust to make sure that we at least are able to keep the land in a better condition than we would have than other quarries would normally leave it. These are just some examples of rehabilitation areas. The one to the left-hand side here, that's actually quite a very old area that we have. Well, the picture to the right are just some of the partners that we have from the EIA movement and Vetiver. So just in conclusion, I just want to point out that the sand and gravel that we produce at the site is used in the construction industry throughout Trinidad and Tobago. As I said, there's no large construction projects that happen in Trinidad and Tobago without our material being in on it, because we are the standard bearer for quality in the industry. There are many steps involved in the process, and we try our best to make sure that we maintain quality and maintain a safe and environmentally sound process. And we will always continue to do that moving forward. And with that, I would just like to end my presentation.